Hi there. I'm the creator of the Jenkins game, or Jenkins Gets a Job. It's just the official title. And this video is just sort of a retrospective slash like behind the scenes of the game. I think the best way I'm gonna do this is through just like playing the game, and along the way, I'll like point out things that were like interesting about it or stuff like that. Um, but yeah, first of all, I'll just go through like the history of like why I made this game or whatever. So it's based on the Jenkins comic, which is like a web comic that I've been writing for a little while. Since I think I started in 2016, and this game came out in 2025 on April 1st. I dropped it as like an April Fool's thing, but I had been working on it for about, I think I started like 2 years before the game like actually came out. But most of that like time within that 2 years was like a final push in like the 4 or 5 months before. And the whole time, like I was in college throughout it, so like I had enough like free time to actually like work on the game. Now that's not the case. I've graduated, but I wanted to take a little retrospective. This is like 5 months out since dropping the game, and when I released the game, I like did not touch it at all since like the day I put it out. So before I play the game, just a quick recap of the timeline of the game. I started this in spring 2023, and I didn't touch it really until this past summer. I released a video on my YouTube channel called If There Was a Jenkins Video Game, This Would Be the Soundtrack. And it's just a collection of songs that I put together in GarageBand. And someone suggested like, oh, like why not make a Jenkins video game? And I had like been playing around with the idea, but that really solidified the idea that I should just like go ahead and just go for it. And so over winter break, since I didn't have too much else to do, I just grinded. I think my estimation is about 500 hours spent on this, but it actually I think it might be more. I don't think it's too much less than that, and that's a very rough estimation. But I ate up all winter break 2025 just working on this game, like 10 hours a day. And then again, spring break of 2025. And then April 1st, about a week before, I was trying to like figure out when I should just drop this game, right? Because, senior year, you want to hang out with your friends and all that. And I thought, like, if I put this off until whenever, like August or something, no one's gonna see it, and then I'll just like drop it. And I have to if I pick a faraway date to release this, it'll just be like waiting in my mind, and I'll just be like kind of, you know, antsy to just get it out. So I just decided like April 1st would be a funny day to drop this game. So I picked April 1st, like a week before, and I felt it was doable. And it was doable, but I had to spend like every waking hour of that week just working towards making this game. And it was fun because it's all just like for fun, right? It's not like a a job with a bunch of pressure where you actually have to, I don't know, there's like it's actually integrated into the real world and there's consequences like that. And it's something I knew I could only do in college. You can't really do that once you're out in the real world working a real job. Uh, as is maybe not the case for Jenkins. He's got a fun job, I would say. Um, but yeah, so I'm really glad that I decided to just put the pressure on myself to actually make this game, because if I didn't do that, like this game would not exist at all. Like there's so much like boring parts of this game that you just have to grind and put together. And I'm glad that I did that. And yeah, it released April 1st, and since then I have like not touched it at all. Like since April 1st, it's just been free from my mind. And the only reason it comes up ever is because someone will like mention it, like, "Oh, I played your game," which is really cool. But yeah, I have not played this game in a while, and this is not going to be like a playthrough of the game. This will probably be more like starting as a playthrough, and then I just will like dig around in the files and show off things that you wouldn't see in normal gameplay. But yeah, it's Jenkins Gets a Job, so let's go ahead and I guess we'll just play this game. I think I might have to restart. I mean, maybe we can start with the options menu. So that was like something I added like towards the very end. It's just like a utilities kind of thing, but I don't know. I wanted to keep the whole feel of the game kind of like very gag. gaggy. I don't know. Like I want to have things like this A setting on this page, like the version at the bottom. It says final. I don't know. I just wanted this game to be sort of like a pastiche or like parody of video games. And yeah, there's different settings. In my playthrough, I'll talk about music at the end, but I'm gonna have music turned off just so it's easier to hear me talk. Oh yeah, that's the setting. Uh, yeah, so the UI is a little weird. You hit this check mark for delete save file, and that restarts the game. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so job application. I'll put my name as, I guess, Hobson. That's the name I'm known for or known by online. Um, yeah, let's do it. Done. Okay, so this dialogue thing, I went through a lot of like different drafts and stuff like this. I was kind of really thinking about what's the best way to like start a game that's centered around an office. Like when I first started this game, I knew you'd like play as like a Jenkins character, and the sort of world you'd be exploring would be an office. And I thought that the best way to start would be some sort of interview sequence where like if you've played Animal Crossing, there's this part at the beginning where like Rover is like asking you questions, and I wanted this to sort of be a parody of that where you answer questions, but instead of the answers like directing who your character is, they direct other things. Instead of like choosing your like gender, like what your face looks like based on how you answer questions, the questions are just like meaningless, but it's like an interview. Anyway, enough about that. I kind of wish I like punched up this dialogue a little more. I want like every single like thing of dialogue to have some sort of joke in it. I don't know if I quite achieved that here. Okay, yeah, this is I think that okay, yeah, that is a bug. I did not appear at the beginning. Maybe I don't know why that's happening, but um, maybe that's something to figure out. So yeah, this room, I can talk about how I initially started the game. So maybe we'll get into like the behind the scenes now that we're in the little overworld area. In debug mode, which you can see at the top, we're in. If you hit the space bar, you can go into this really sick like level editor that I just made for the sake of the game. Um, I'm trying to remember all the keyboard shortcuts, but I think if I press T, it'll let me switch to another map. I deleted all the maps that are like uh, beta or like testing, so I don't think that one will show up if I switch to it. But lobby is a good one because there's a lot of stuff here. And the other thing you can do is if you hold F, oh shoot. And yeah, so if you hold down F, you can like just cheat walk in debug mode. But this is only for like developing the game. Anyway, so let's hop at this little um, level editor. So you've got like, there's sort of this grid area. Oh, this is like a secret thing, or not a secret thing. This is not in the game at all. This is just me like testing things. So hopefully when I like draw on this, it won't like, oops, no, use command or period to draw, and Q selects the eraser tool. Anyway, it's all very much designed to be like done through a keyboard, not like through a mouse. So um, when I was like in the zone for this, it would be very easy to like make a room. I don't think I added like a draw rectangle tool, but like if I needed like a room of this shape, it's pretty easy to draw pretty quickly. And then there's different buttons to switch layers and stuff like that. Different things like this to just choose different things on different layers. Layers are like the Z level of things. So like if I want this wall to be in front of the floor, it's got to be on layer 2. Layer 2 is like things that you can collide with. If it's on layer 1, that's like a thing that's like upright, but the player won't be like behind it. So so I don't know why he disappears at the beginning. So that's weird. But okay, so this is a wall. So I've just placed it here and that's it. And yeah, so this front wall is on layer 1. So everything on layer 1 is behind things on layer 2. It makes it easier. I feel like I'm just getting in the weeds of things, but this is like pretty important to like how you kind of make things. So layer 1 I mostly use for things that are like a carpet on the floor or something like that, or something that's on the floor that the player should never be like behind, but should be on top of the floor. And then layer 3 is stuff like this elevator and this sign and this door. So, oops. I think if I like close this, it won't save. So I'm gonna close this again. I think it's Y to create a new room, and I type the name like test demo and then give it some size. Okay, so now I can actually put in a little area. I actually forget what command. I think it's W to pick what you want to switch to. Yeah, okay. So if I want to just create a room, I could easily do that here. And I think if I go through A and D, I can see other things that are alphabetically nearby. So pink tile, pink wall. Yeah, oh, it's also, yeah, it's a little shaky because you don't know where you're pressing necessarily. Oops, and I put the wall on layer 0, which is a common mistake. You should put it on layer 2. Anyway, I'm getting like very in the weeds right now. I can talk about the parallax thing. So when I first started the game in like, this was spring 2023, on like spring break, I just did a rush and I did like a mock-up in Scratch where there's like this curvature. All the assets are drawn in Scratch. Actually, no, I'll go between the different maps that we've got because I just remembered that keyboard shortcut. So this is the one I just created right here. I feel like I do want to just drop in some stuff, you know, the classic plant. You can do like, I mean, it's just like Minecraft, right? Like barriers if you don't want the player to get out of the room, unless they're like turning on hacks or whatever. Yeah, so I and O go between things, so maybe we'll start with alphabetical order. So, all right, first in alphabetical order is this map called 101 Hallway. I think this is not in the game, or no, this is in the game. This is like right before you start the tutorial of the room, or of the tutorial room, which is like the second part. So it's or it's before you start, yeah, room 101, or employee training, employee orientation. Yeah, this went through a lot of names, so it's in the files. It's like known as tutorial. Like let me search tutorial. Yeah, so it's a map, and maps are stored as text files. I don't think I should be opening. No, I can open this, but again, this is like, I mean, I don't know if I should really be storing this way. I think the way this is just stored is you have the name, I don't think this number is used, the size, and then for the 4 layers, like what is on that layer. So yeah, not the most compressed thing, but you know, it gets the job done. Also, this is a big one. 128 by 128 is like, there's like 2 maps that are 128 by 128, which are like the tutorial section, which is broken down into much smaller sections, and then another part of like the second floor, which is broken down. And these F things I think are for flipping tiles. So for example, if I want something in this room to like be like facing the other way, so it's a good example of this. What's like has text on it? I guess this street sign has text. So let's put this on layer 2 over here, and if I hit F, it will flip it. So now it's reading the opposite direction. So, okay, debug just got turned off. But anyway, this is just a map in the game. Pretty straightforward. This is like, I was thinking of maybe trying to squeeze in like a third part where you like push or you pull instead. So you get the skill push in the second room. And the idea here was like, you step on this and it's like, oh, Jenkins forgot the skill push and then the skill pull. Who knows? Maybe if I make up a follow-up to this game, this stuff will be important. Oh yeah, like if you walk off, that'll happen. And I think it actually shows up, right? Okay, right now it just says skills and pull and push. The idea here was you have to find a way to push these or pull these boxes to open this door. I think pull is activated, maybe not. maybe. Okay. Anyway, the point is this is not part of the actual game, but it's like a file in the game somewhere. Okay, back to here. So that's that. This is, yeah, the little Jenkins bedroom. In the initial room, the initial idea of this, there was like the full house that you could explore. That is not really the case in this. It's annoying that the guy isn't showing up, Jenkins, but yeah, that's the little house. I'll go through these quicker. What is this? Blank. Okay, so this is like the meat and potatoes of like the game. So there's a lot of rooms that you walk back and forth between. This is where like most of the game happens, honestly. I was thinking of maybe doing a playthrough. That was my initial idea, but I think you can kind of get the gist of, there's different tiles. It I don't know. It makes the game work. Yeah. This is for like the third level. This is the intro room. This is more of just okay. This is an interesting room to talk about. So, oh yeah, okay, it's crashing, but let's try this again. I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer, but you would start at this elevator, or the interview would. The idea here was like after the interview, the interviewer guy tells you to walk down this hallway and put your resume in this pile that says like do not hire, and it's this like stack of papers. And the idea was, even if you like oblige and put it there, no, he tells you to put it in the recycling bin. So there's like a recycling bin over here where my like little section is, and you would put it in the recycling bin, and you put this other applicants thing in the hire bin. Anyway, if this all sounds like very complicated, it's because I realize this is like way too complicated of like a task. But the idea is that there would be like a switcheroo of the resumes with like the other guy, the rival, and that would be what prompts Jenkins to get a job. But it's very convoluted, so I ended up scrapping that. This is a big map. This is fun. I feel like the song I'm most proud of in the game is the music in the lobby. Like it genuinely sounds like a little Nintendo song. Most of the other music, I mean, I listened back to it again. I think it could be better. I'm definitely not like a Toby Fox or anything like that. So I'll try to figure out. I don't know. Music it's fun to make, and it's hard to like do very well. But I do feel pretty happy with the lobby. Someone mentioned that the lobby is also pretty reminiscent of the Metaton Hotel from Undertale, which I am now like realizing, yeah, I was definitely probably like subconsciously inspired, especially with like the fountain in the middle. Yeah, I guess I was not an intentional Easter egg, but it is, yeah, pretty reminiscent of Undertale, which inspired a lot of this game. This is definitely in the comedy RPG subgenre post Undertale space. So, yeah. Long haul. This is, I guess, where you start. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about animations. So, this area took, I think there's a file called animations.json. Most of this, also, even though this game was made in 2025, I did not use AI at all in this at all, which is very different from how you should operate if you're trying to uh, really crunch and make something fast. So most of this is also like done without autocomplete, but this is all just kind of, or this is like, at least I use copy and paste, I guess, right? But uh, animations this is like a JSON file of just every single like trigger that can trigger another trigger. So blah blah blah. This is like just a text version of like a tree of things that happen one after the other. And evidently there is like, I guess, 2,000 lines of that stuff going on. And some of them are special, but most of them are just telling a character to like walk for a certain amount, or this question has these answers and stuff like that. So dialogue is essentially just a plain text file with a bunch of, I guess, like keys and values of dialogue that's used in the game, and then like a little slash if someone's saying that, and then the actual dialogue. I wanted to keep it all in one file. If someone were to translate the game, they should only, I think they mostly only need to translate things in this file. I would say a month before I dropped the game, like this part of the game didn't exist at all. But I realized I had to make a very simple intro section. Um, Sometimes when you're making a game, you get so like lost in like things that seem very easy and intuitive, you sort of forget are not always that intuitive. So this is kind of like beta stuff. There's a hallway that's pretty similar to this in the final game. So the point of this room, as sort of like what differentiates this game from other games, is it's supposed to let you know that you as the player should just be like exploring the most mundane, boring things, and you'll find jokes. So for each of these doors, there's like 12 of them. They each, when I first made this room, they'd have like a little gag joke based on the room number. And I guess this was an exercise in trying to have just pack as much like just like stupidity into a room as I could. I really wanted this game to be filled with gags. I don't think I filled it with enough, and I think in some ways it just feels like a normal RPG, or like a normal comedy RPG. But the true goal for this game was to like push that beyond that. Like the medium would be like a game, and what you're doing, or I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I really wanted it to feel like sure there's this medium of a game, but what you're doing is you're just like exploring the game, and like sort of unexpected things are happening that sort of subvert the medium as well, which is like a very high level, like very hard thing to even accomplish. But I gave it my best shot, and I think I ended up with like a fun game, which is good. Okay, so with the map, I when I first like thought of this, I was just like giggling to myself. I really hope I can like get the player to show up. Aha, okay. Nice. Sweet. All right. Okay, I'm back. I just fixed that. It was pretty small. Okay, so looking to get from point A, yeah, the map. So the original idea I had with this is like there's a song that accompanies the whole thing, this little rhyme that it says. I cut that out because it would be like 30 seconds of just really slow dialogue going by. And the idea, the gag with the map, right, is it takes so long to boot up this UI thing. And yeah, this little, this was really fun to make. This was like, as soon as I had this idea, I drew this out, and I don't know, this was a lot of fun. And I don't think it's like placement in the final game is where I would want it to be. I would think I'd want it to be, the game doesn't start at home, it starts in Monkey Corp. So it was hard to put it in, but I really wanted to put it in because I just really like this gag. Also the compass and the 1 mile thing. I don't know. I think those are really stupid. Like the north is like pointing in like two completely orthogonal directions, and like 1 mile is like suddenly 1/3 of a mile. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I find really funny about this. And then yeah, so the map takes you somewhere 2 seconds away, but yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to show that off. It's not even a behind the scenes thing. You can see it in normal gameplay, but it just makes me happy. Orientation. Oh yes, this room. I think this might be. Yeah. This is used. This is like the final room with the boss. Oh, this is a cool room with the parallax. Uh, it's not really a parallax. It just kind of feels like it. When I first made this, I was kind of surprised by how well it worked because it's just tiles. Um, Let me see if I can do this without totally breaking things. There's just they're just tiles. It's just like an image that I put in the back, and there's one for a cloud, one for just green, one for trees, or two for trees, and yeah, that's that. The vending machine has some pretty fun gags. I don't know if people caught this, but there's $20 behind this couch. It's a classic. Anyway, tons of gags. I think you can explore those in normal gameplay. Big room for all the tutorial stuff. Yep, nothing too crazy there. That's that room. Okay, I think we've covered every room in the game. Sweet. The curvature has some interesting trigonometry stuff. It's kind of optimized to be for rendering like 1,000 things at once. But this is pretty messy, honestly, with like the global screen dimensions like showing up. Uh, but yeah, we do some stuff with sign and stuff like that. I don't know. I think the the curvature is something that people find pretty interesting about this. So this is the code for that. Walls is a list of all the tiles that are walls. Yeah, pretty exciting, I guess. This is this should be in like a JSON. So this is globals.gd. And I think there's a fair amount of stuff here that's like is a, like a function and stuff and should be here. But for even as low as the like 800th line of this file, it's just effectively just dictionaries of in this room at this position, this thing happens. Um, so probably shouldn't be in a Godot file, but it is. So there's I've recently learned there are like actually libraries to manage like dialogue and trees and things like that, and also state as well. But this was an exploration in building it myself, and it's a little messy, but this is like something. This looks kind of like a file that you would get if you like compiled a more like human readable version of it. So I'm pretty happy with it now. Let's like poke around. Let's find interesting things like the art. I think that's in assets, right? Got to be a file called assets. Okay. So yeah, this is a fun file or fun folder. This has every like SVG, and they're all drawn in Scratch. And yeah, I have a Scratch project which maybe I can open. Cool. All right. So I've just found the Scratch version of this game. So this might be like, it might look a little mind blowing, like, whoa, it's like a version of the game, but this is a very stripped back version. So it's a little bit of a, I mean, obviously it's like a wild, like crazy, like whatever Hobson TV Scratch project, right? But most of it is just the only like code here is some of the same stuff for the players, like physics and stuff, and then the tile stuff in the background. But what's really nice about this is, or the reason I have it in Scratch as well, is Scratch is makes it much easier to draw the assets that you want. So this has like, yeah, 300 different assets. Most of these are not used in the game, although there are um, quite a few assets in the game. I don't know how many there are, but probably around like 300. And what's nice about this, right, is let me see if I can like find the anything in this room, like maybe the tiles. What's really nice about this is you can just live draw on the tile, right? So if I want a smiley face on every single tile, I can do that. Or if I think the tiles are, yeah, like for example, like that, the little mouth, I noticed the mouth is too low, so I just dragged it up. And it's so much easier to iterate when you have a little mock version like this. Um, I don't know. It's kind of like an unsung feature of Scratch if you like make a mock-up and a thing like this. Yeah, I just wanted to like kind of preach the power of Scratch for like actually like building real things. But it only like the little asterisk about this is that you kind of have to be drawing your assets in Scratch, so that's not something everyone is wanting to do. But you can totally do it. Yeah, so if I wanted a version of the game where this is the floor, I can totally do that. Sick. And then you just export the SVG and then you just drop it in here. So it's super easy. Here, I got rid of every single asset that doesn't actually appear in the game. So there's nothing that interesting here. The battle system with like reputation, that again was something I was saving towards the very end and trying to figure it out. Right now, it's like very Pokemon-y, where you've got moves and you're there on like the left side and someone's there on the far right, and you like attack them, and or you don't attack them. You like what is it, like push and handshake and nod. But the reputation system was something I found interesting and something that probably could be explored. I think that would be like, if I were to really bring this out into a full game, the idea of like your reputation at work being a sort of health point system would be something I'd really want to explore and play with more. Um, and yeah, the fights in the game are pretty simple. Like I think all of them except for the final boss can be solved in one move or in two moves. This is a room that people are very confused by because the you can't pick it up. Oh, you can. I changed it, but it used to be that if you were standing very close to this, you couldn't pick it up. Killjoy, that guy. All right, let's battle this guy. Yeah, a lot of thought went into what it means for there to be conflicts in this game because um, the initial idea wasn't necessarily that you are a guy with a job trying to like it was hard to like decide what your goal is other than to get from like point A to point B. Like in Pokemon, right? You're trying to I guess you are trying to get from point A to point B, but you're also trying to be like a Pokemon master and you want to level up your Pokemon. And with this, I wanted to keep it like pretty simple because the point of the game is not the battle system. The battle system is just supposed to be a thing from video games that you can recognize, and then I, as the game creator, can like subvert and do stuff with. So, uh, this Killjoy, he's like a little starter enemy guy. I think at this point you have three skills. You can push him. How does this work? This one you push and then you run. So, yeah. Again, this is like, what is this? This is not even retrospective or behind the scenes. This is just the game. But I put a lot of thought into like, I can maybe search for different like old versions of this, but it used to be maybe you'd have a reputation and an energy thing. I think that was a little too complicated. Like you'd have two bars, and with energy, that would refill if you got like coffee or something like that. And reputation would like refill. That would be more like your health, right, when it runs out. Ooh, wait. Let's talk about. Can I exit this? Yeah, the game over thing. Because I think the game over or the you're fired, the fired thing, is like a sleeper, like really cool idea for a video game thing. Where would I go? I think it's in this room, right? The recycle bin. Let me get to game over really quickly, and I'll explain the concept. Oh, okay. The whole like floating point number thing has like completely sort of ruined a lot of things in the game. So right there it just said like 50.0 instead of 50, but it should say just 50. Okay. So, fired. I think this is one of like the concepts about this game that I think could really be worked into something like truly like an incredible like moment in gaming, right? So fired, it like looks like a game over screen. And when you hit when you hit Z, right, or your action button, you can either continue or quit. So those are like the two things that you can do with Z. And if you click one of those, it's just you go back to the normal game. But you still have the option to move around. So you can move around and you can, you'll notice like the printer guy, he won't be bothering me because if he was, it would like pop up a dialogue and like this version, you're fired, so no one talks to you or whatever. Like that's like I guess the in-world logic of fired. And it looks kind of like bland and grayscale, so it kind of puts you off like, okay, this is probably not like the actual game. This is probably something I should be I should not care about. But let's say you like got fired at this location, right? You can still like go forward in the game, right? Let's say I battled someone and they dropped my reputation. I can still like go forward. So the idea I had was, what if there was just an alternate version of the game like that you could go through, but without any Z or X interaction? And I think that gets kind of interesting with specifically with light switches and box pushing, because I don't think there are light switches in this room, but to reset a room with a light switch, you need to press Z. So you'd sort of it's what's interesting about this is that if there's like a box pushing puzzle ahead of you, right, or maybe behind you, because I also thought about you could like travel backwards and try to not use Z. it's sort of like this extra challenge mode, right? Where you can't press Z. And soft locks are allowed. So normally in a normal game, you kind of want to avoid soft locks. Like if there's a way that I could push boxes so that I get stuck, like I should not like that's bad game design and I shouldn't have that. But what's nice about a soft lock in fired mode is that it's effectively a game over, right? Or it's not a game over. It's like it ends your fired route. So you can't get soft lock because then you do have an outlet. You have a way to get out, which is you can quote unquote end the fired route by continuing the normal route. And anyway, I thought that I think if this was like fleshed out, I think it would be a really interesting thing to see in a full game. So if I end up making this into like a bigger game, the game will probably be specifically designed around the alternate route of being fired going forward, and then probably a bonus route of being fired maybe at the end or at the beginning and traversing all the way back to the beginning. And there's like a taste of that in this version. So I think if I go to intro room, and there's a whole bunch of state stuff that's not right. But okay, so in the game, if you're fired or no, if you're not fired and you come back to this, it will tell you like come back to this room at the very beginning and when you're fired and you can get rehired because this is the room where you can get rehired. And there's that little thing that pops up where you get rehired if you like get back here. And it's like a little creepypasta-y with like the whole Jenkins gets a job. Like, I don't know, call back to the title of the game, but I don't know. Trying to fit in as many like interesting things as that. So I think the things about this game that I thought were the most cool are the fired route and the I don't know, I guess like the map. I don't know, just the random gags. Okay, so this is about the earliest version of the game I can find in Scratch. I could probably find an earlier version of Godot too, but this is a map where you can just walk around and see every file that is in the game or every like asset. So we've got some like cars and stuff, and those are not used. We've got some like graffiti that I guess is rivalries between the New York Times and the Washington Post, which doesn't really fit in the world of Jenkins. I had this idea of if you know Scratch Junior, I was thinking of maybe having some sort of language within the game for controlling certain things. I feel like that would come later. You've got some like what is that game called? Like Minecraft. It's like the thing made like Minecraft where you can go down and up in like a cave. This is obviously not a caving game, but who knows, maybe there'll be something with caves. Oh, wait, I want to show off this map if I can find it. Kind of demonstrates how you could envision this like Jenkins Gets a Job being in like a full on game where it sort of has like a full on world going on outside of it, right? Like, so maybe outside the office, there's like some snow stuff. He has to go on like travel for his job somewhere. Or it could be inside the office too. I haven't thought about that. Maybe it's more like a Willy Wonka thing where there's just like a ton of stuff within the building. We've got this like fake Hobson TV graffiti, some the Jenkins comic graffiti. Anything is possible. Oh, this light thing I think is pretty cool. This is just like an image, but the image is really high up. So because of the curvature, it looks kind of cool. Cubicles used to kind of be made of two different assets or two different images. I later decided like everything that's one thing should just be in one thing because it doesn't stitch together that well. We've got a pool table, American flag, up, down. We've got everything. We've got even this thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, wait. Okay, cool. That's actually pretty cool. Again, none of this ends up getting used, but it's there. I don't know why I had all these assets. We got a toilet, a bathtub. Cool. So I've found a version of the game that has more maps in it. So this is another version of that convoluted thing from the beginning. Oops. This is a very Garfield looking house. This is another very wonky looking house. We've got like the Three Sheep comic on the wall. This is a very early room or map from the game. And I had this idea like there might be some green spaces within the office. So sort of like really wonky. These are some older versions of rooms when they're all in their own map, which kind of made it hard to do. Here we've got, yeah, like an older version of what you see later with a little bit more straightforward design. This I didn't spend too much time with, but it's another early version of the lobby. Okay, yeah, cool. So this was like when I first worked on this game like 2 years ago, over like spring 2023. This was the overworld map that I made. So things aren't rendering, but yeah, there's like a bridge, and this would be at the top of the bridge, and you have this like cool parallax thing. Um, and it was sort of like this town that's 128 by 128 tiles that you can explore. So definitely a different vibe for the game, not as linear. Um, and I guess yeah, it's sort of Animal Crossing style, some sort of water at the bottom, different streets, not much on the streets. I think somewhere over here there's like a schoolhouse or something, or up here. Yeah, kind of. This is very like Springfield kind of feeling. Like we got this like field or something out here, a baseball diamond. Yeah, some sort of urbanish area in the central, like little Mario Kart oil spill. The houses are not rendering, I don't think, because I think they got renamed, but this would be like a house and there'd be like some sort of yard here. Yeah, but very much more a proof of concept kind of vibe. What else is around here? Again, an earlier version of things we've seen later. Restaurant, apparently. This is, I think, when I just recreated Route 1 from Pokemon in the tile set. Low-key works pretty well. Obviously, I didn't add assets for everything, like the cliffs. But yeah, it's just Route 1 from Pokemon. This is when I added tall grass. I thought tall grass would be a fun thing to parody. Had no intention of this ever being part of the game, but just a fun thing to mess around with. Ooh, this is like when I tried making like a crowded bar. I think that's why I added the dogs playing poker painting. I guess the idea would be maybe a bunch of NPCs that you can talk to. And I guess there'd be some sort of upstairs. I don't know where this would fit into the story, but could be something cool. What else? Oh yeah, so here we go. This is the snowy little world. Can't you just like imagine this being like in a more extended version of the Jenkins game, some sort of like next level? I don't know why there's invisible things, but yeah, just sort of a different vibe. It feels a little bit more outdoorsy. You can still like do things. These star things, I don't know what they're meant to be, but I made them, and I have like I guess a railroad track. I don't know. Just there's a version of this game where it's more fun of a world to explore. This feels very like Europe. These little fences and these houses. Yeah, some sort of maze built into the world. Oh shoot, this is like a pretty extensive thing, more than I remembered. Oh yeah. There's like I had the 128 by 128. I'm gonna use the full 128 by 128 apparently. This is like some sort of mock concept of there could be some sort of puzzle here where you gotta fight this guy and there's stuff, yada yada, some sort of path. Yeah, just ideas, just messing with ideas really. Okay, this is a room that I was thinking you might have like some deja vu where you're like higher up. So now the clouds are at this level. And then, yeah, most of this we've seen. This might be an alternate version of that map from earlier. Oh, I think it's an even older version. Yeah. But yep, that's that. This I think is, yeah, the tutorial room. This is called unfinished level. Looks pretty, yeah, I don't have any recollection of making this. Yeah, when I first started the Jenkins house, I thought of like splitting it into different rooms, but as I actually made the game, I realized there's no reason to break it up into different things except maybe like potentially world building. This would be like a coffee thing that you can like interact with. I think I can actually take it. Yeah. So that's functional. Um, what else? Little living room, room with a TV. Yeah. Again, these rooms are like too small. I eventually did a workaround for things like that. That's the thing I showed off earlier. This is the map with everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. Oh, I guess these are two alternate versions of the basement. That's the actual final one there. That's when the house was more split off into different things. Again, another part of the house when it was split into different things. This is like Butch's room, for example. I think these are all, oh, they're not connected. I thought they were. So I thought I could walk through that door and go to the rest, but yeah, there's that. What else? What is this? Blank. That's not too interesting. This one's called Campus, which I think, yeah, I had this idea for maybe there would be a part that like takes place at, oh shit, we are lost in just a bunch of green. And something in sort of a brick, scholarly area could be cool. I think that's why I made these fences. Could be cool. But you know, very ambitious. Oh, Candyland. All right, wait, this one's fun. Oh, wait, the tiles aren't loading. Okay, or they are. Some of them, it didn't look like they were loading. All right, so for whatever reason, the ground is not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be black, but this is like a Willy Wonka truly inspired thing. This is just the sand texture, but with like sparkles on it. The idea was this would be like indoors and there'd be like candy related puzzles. Yeah, I don't think I imported all the assets, but there's like gumdrops and stuff. They're not showing up. There's a way cooler version of this. Like, it looks like very barren, but that's just because all the assets aren't loading in. There's like a full on like some sort of puzzle here going on. I think that actually is probably about it. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll probably wrap it up here. Yeah, I don't know if I'll like continue working on the game. I think if I did, I probably wouldn't just like leak all this stuff with like the candy and stuff because I think that would probably be the logical next part. We'll see. Maybe if I have time, I'll work on it. But I don't think I have that much time to work on games like this. Although I have laid the groundwork, so we'll see. I guess never say never. This could be a fun thing to work on, but I don't know. This is more supposed to just be a retrospective look in the code base after not touching it for about 5 months. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if this was interesting. Let me know what your favorite parts are, either about the game or this little demo. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.